Thanks for tuning into our seller interview series. Up today, we've got an Amazon FBA business for sale in the health and fitness niche that's nearly 2 years old. The business makes just over $7,000 per month in net profit, and the listing number on this one is 40438. Now, we do these interviews to give potential buyers more information about both the seller and the sites and businesses they're looking to purchase. We hope these insights are helpful for you in making a buying decision. We've got the power selling couple with us today to go through the business and cover everything from niche selection to traffic and monetization. Thanks so much for coming on, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having us, Justin.
Thank you.
The business was built in May 2014. The monthly revenue on this is $7,267. That's a 3-month average. Expenses come out to about $100 a month, and net profit $7,167 a month. Again, that's a 3-month average. This sale will include your Seller Central account in Amazon. It'll include inventory. It'll include the domain name. You have a domain name for this, and then all site files as well. Is that a pretty good description of the business?
Sounds right to us.
Sounds about right.
All right, guys. So can you tell me a little bit about your background in kind of building and running online businesses? How'd you get into all this?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Well, I think just being on the road full time, we were looking for a business that we could build from anywhere in the world with an internet connection. And we're just sort of looking for opportunities, and sort of selling on Amazon with FBA just kind of fell into our laps because someone was willing to help us learn how to do it, and we just figured it out from there.
Yeah, and I think we're also looking for a business that wouldn't require too much of our time.
Yeah, a lot of couples, at least old friends of mine back in the U.S., they say, they're looking around for a business to buy, and they're thinking like a laundromat, they're thinking dry cleaning or something. And what a better business to have that allows you to travel all over the world. You have to have an internet connection, but that's not too limiting these days, right? I think it's fantastic, and I think it's really interesting to talk to a couple that works together on their business online. So how did you guys come up with this? I talked to you briefly before this, Amber. We were talking about how you took a course. Can you tell me a little bit more about what that Amazon FBA course is all about?
Yeah, I've always been into sort of health and fitness, particularly being on the road all the time. We're always struggling to find ways to stay healthy as we travel. And so when we were looking for options for a new FBA business, they say if you're an author, you should write about what you know. And this is sort of the same situation. I just sort of looked at other businesses and other opportunities within the health and fitness area, saw some opportunities, and we're trying to look for a product that we thought would fit the market that wasn't really there yet, that wasn't marketed this way, that, was easy to manufacture and easy to ship, that didn't have a lot of moving parts to make it sort of an easy first product for us on FBA.
Yeah, and Justin, if I can jump in, I would say, with Amazon, we were always curious. We had run into other digital nomads and heard, oh, I sell on Amazon. And I think it was something that kind of put up our antennas and said, well, we're fairly intelligent. We can do this. And so we happened to be in Indonesia at the time and met a guy who was willing to teach a few of us. And so learn the ins and outs of Amazon, some neat little tricks on how to better position your product. And so, lo and behold, we did the course and got our product launched, as you said, 2 years ago. And so far, so good.
Awesome. And for anyone that's listening to this and looking at this business for sale, and they go, what are they talking about, that Amazon FBA stuff? Let's break that down a bit. So Amazon FBA, I like to call it like e-commerce light. So basically, you're still sourcing the product, whether that's China or US or wherever it's being manufactured. You ship it to, instead of your own warehouse, you ship it to Amazon. You list the product on Amazon, and Amazon goes through the hassle of selling it, of shipping it out to the customer, and they take a piece of the pie, a piece of each sale. Is that a pretty good description?
That's exactly it. And I think, the big component is that they're doing the warehousing and they're doing the shipping. When we're in Europe or in Asia, we can't sit there and pack envelopes. And so therefore, for a fee, of course, Amazon's in the business of making money. Amazon does all that for us.
And in terms of niche selection, Amber just said that, she's into health and fitness and she was looking around for a product, found one that was kind of the right size, the right shape, the right price. And that's kind of why you guys got into it. I mean, you're looking at FBA already and just kind of found a product that you started to roll out. Tell me a little bit about why you guys are selling the business right now. I mean, you've had it almost 2 years. Why not keep it and grow it for another 2-3 years?
Well, Well, honestly, I think we've done what we can with the skill set that we have and the time that we have. I think there are other people out there who know a lot more about like SEO and advertising that could take the product to the next level that we don't have the time to do right now because we're focusing on other non-FBA projects.
Yeah, definitely. The day-to-day management of the business is straightforward and quick, but again, it's that digging down in and taking it, to that next level. Again, as Amber said, through SEO and perhaps some broader advertising that right now we don't have the time for with our blogging business.
Yeah, one of the things that's interesting with Amazon FBA is that, a lot of your customers, a lot of your traffic is coming via the Amazon search, so you don't have to deal with it. But a quick win to do even more is to have sites outside of Amazon that drive traffic to your products on Amazon. So I think that's, with this whole industry, this whole niche of Amazon FBA, I think that's a really interesting opportunity. We're going to talk about opportunities in a bit. What's your plan with the cash when you sell? Are you looking to do a different Amazon FBA product? Are you going to reinvest in your business? Are you going to take another nice trip? What do you plan to do?
It depends
yeah,
on
right.
the day of the week.
Yeah, and also how the euro is doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we've got some other ideas for FBA businesses, which, we might consider doing. We were in Italy just recently, and we said, oh, if we sell this business, we might buy an apartment in Italy. So you never know.
We also do have another FBA business that perhaps will take some of some of those earnings and reinvest into that as well. We definitely are full believers in FBA, and so definitely see it as a long-term passive income generator for us.
Awesome. Let's talk about the history of this business a bit. So, as I said, it was built in May 2014. Was this your first Amazon FBA business?
It was.
Cool. So, how did it start off? Was it, did you you found the product, you shipped over a bit of it to the Amazon warehouses? Were you apprehensive about how well it would sell? Did it take off right out of the gate, or was it like a slower burn? Like, how did that rollout work?
Yeah, I will say that we were a little bit apprehensive about how it would sell, and I think our initial investment was for 3,000 units, and we had this sort of fear of, oh my gosh, what's going to happen if we can't sell these 3,000 units?
Yeah.
What are we going to do with them, in 6 months or 9 months if we're stuck with all this inventory? And it sort of took off quicker than we had anticipated, to the point that we actually ran out of inventory like going into Christmas.
Yeah, the proverbial caught with our pants down. I mean,
Yeah.
it was a good lesson learned, though. I mean, we learned from that lesson and tried to prevent that from happening the next Christmas.
Yeah, so I mean, I think we were caught off guard by how well it did, and with the great thing about FBA is you get a deposit every 2 weeks. For a while we were like, is there going to be another deposit in 2 weeks? And lo and behold, we've gotten our deposits and keep selling.
Yeah, it's interesting with Amazon FBA. I think I've heard this from other people too, where they're a little apprehensive and then it starts selling and they're like, whoa, this works, right? Like, people are buying my product and I need to buy more.
And listen, I mean, this is the first time we've done something like this. I mean, we've both had, different career paths prior to doing the FBA, and we've worked for others. We've all worked for others our entire lives, and this was the first time where literally, as they say, the buck stops here, and we had to make all the decisions, and we had to do all the research, and we had to deal with the supplier and customs and getting all that set up. And the course that we had done really prepared us for all of that, but it was a different world for us at the very beginning.
What was the course you guys took?
It was just some guy who's a fellow FBA seller. I think he's got right now maybe 4 or 5 different products, and he was in Indonesia at the same time and sort of recruited a bunch of us from a networking space, from a co-hub type setup, and mentored a bunch of us. So, yeah.
So random. So it's not like one of those online, like the Amazing Seller I know is a big one out there, expensive one out there. It's not one of those. It's just someone you met up with while you're traveling. That's pretty cool.
No, and it was really, I think he did something quite smart, is that he asked for an initial deposit of $1,000. And then after you made $10,000 in profit, you paid him the other $2,000.
I like that. That's slick, because on the $1,000 he makes enough to where like it's cool, but he's really banking on your success, and he gets paid on your success. So that's a pretty smart way to do it.
Yeah. And to this day, I mean, we have a really good. I mean, I think it was an initial group of about 8 of us, and We have a Facebook group that or Facebook page, we all kind of share ideas, and he's still there, sharing tips and updates and all that sort of stuff. So, definitely a good person to have initially hooked up with.
Would the buyer be in on that network or no?
Honestly, I'd probably have to take it up with the group and say, here's an update on us. We've sold the business. We'd like to, introduce the new owner to the group. And, I think
them.
it's
unknown.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Cool. And then with this business, I mean, this is your first FBA business. So were there any takeaways, any things you learned with this business that you'll be able to apply to future FBA businesses or just business in general?
I think it's about timing. I think that was the big takeaways, to make sure that you sort of have your checklist and that you're doing things sort of in the proper sequencing. You can't go to step C when you haven't done step A and B yet.
What do you guys do because I know this can be a problem with FBA. What do you guys use for like inventory management? How do you track, where you're at? What do you use there?
I pretty much do that myself. I mean, honestly,
Yeah.
I don't want to come across as unsophisticated, but we just sort of track how much inventory we have. And because, as Eric said, we got caught with our pants down before Christmas of 2014, we were a lot more careful with how much inventory we had and tracking how long it took from the time we placed an order to how long it took to get to Amazon, so that we knew what our lead time was, so that we knew exactly how long it would take for us to replenish inventory. And, after that first Christmas, we got a lot smarter about it, but we haven't been using any like fancy software. I've just been doing it all on a Excel file.
Cool.
Yeah, and Amazon's pretty good about, all the data that they provide. It can be initially a little overwhelming, but they've got so much information in there that once you get the feel for the system, I mean, you've got so much great information to access.
So for anyone looking to buy this business, if they don't have any experience with any of that, then you guys are going to provide training. You're going to make sure they're up to speed when they take over the business. So I think you guys will have that covered. And it's not brain surgery, right? I mean, it can be a little complicated, but it's not brain surgery. And the second thing, for anyone that owns FBA business or runs FBA businesses, they might love the fact that you guys aren't using any software where they're like, oh, I can totally optimize this process. These guys don't know what they're doing. I'm going to make it so much better. And that's, upside for them. So,
Justin, this was our first real business out on our own. And as much as we both have, like, we've got advertising and sales skills, we have legal skills, like we've got those skills, we're not sophisticated on the entrepreneurial front. And I think that we've done pretty well considering that. But you're right. I think the word that you used was optimize. And I think that's key here, because I think someone who has those skills that we're missing can really optimize this and take it a lot farther.
Yeah. It sounds like to me the skills you guys learned in this process in terms of how to source products, how to make sure the products are good, how to ship them to Amazon, those are going to be really valuable for you in future FBA businesses that you built. Was there anything you tried with this business that you thought was going to be a winner that, either the guy mentioned in the course, you talked to other peers about, and you tried it out and it just didn't work?
I think the one thing that I won't say didn't, but hasn't worked rather, is really going after the wholesale space. I think the product is right for wholesale. And again, somebody who can, optimize that piece of the puzzle, I think really could really do well.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about traffic and earnings with the site in particular. So you have a site. Give me the breakdown. What percentage of the earnings comes from Amazon FBA, and what percentage of earnings comes through the site directly?
I would say 99% of our earnings come from Amazon.
Okay, that sounds about right. Yeah, most of you I've talked to are in that position.
We have a site. It's not optimized really for SEO. It doesn't drive traffic. We've had a couple wholesale opportunities that have either come through the site or from someone seeing it on Amazon and just wanting to buy a larger quantity, in which case we usually will ship directly from our manufacturer rather than through Amazon to give the wholesale purchaser a better price.
Yep.
But yeah, we don't have our site optimized. So I think that that's something that we've just been lacking on how to do.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about, I talked to you about before the show, we were talking about margins a little bit, we were talking about price, and the product is priced at just under $20 per item. You sell one main item, is that correct? You have how many SKUs do you have?
Just one.
Okay, just one. It's just under $20. And you haven't done a whole lot of price testing. You had it slightly higher price and then you dropped it by $1. Is that about right?
That sounds about right. Yep.
All right. And then margins, we're talking cost of goods plus shipping to the US is a little under a third. Amazon takes a little under a third, and you make maybe 35 to 40% in profit. Does that sound right?
That sounds about right.
Cool. Okay. And then what do your reviews look like on Amazon?
They definitely skewed towards the positive. Of course, you sell a lot of units, you're going to get some negative reviews in there, but definitely, I'd probably say at least 80%, 85% of our reviews are in the positive. So 3 stars or better.
And
Cool.
how many do we have?
I think right now there's about 350 reviews.
Yep. Okay. And then is this a branded product or is this the same product that everyone else sells?
It's branded under our own private label, if that's what you mean.
Yep. So people could search for your particular product and it'll come up, and then it's the same product. Other people sell the same product, but yours is under your brand.
That's correct.
Right.
Great. Okay. And then in terms of the website, that doesn't have much sales, but I think you're going to transfer as opportunity. Do you have a bunch of content on there? Like, what does it look like? Is it WordPress?
Yeah, we do have some content on there, again, because it is in the health and fitness area. And because of my background in health and fitness, we have some information about like how to use the product and that sort of stuff already on there.
Great. Okay. And then obviously the descriptions, the pictures, you've got all of that on the Amazon listing.
Yep.
Right.
Great. All right. So let's talk about some opportunities for this business. Now, if you guys were keeping it, let's say you weren't going to sell the business, you're going to keep it for the next couple of years. What paths would you take to maintain and grow the business?
I think, as I mentioned before, I dive deeper into wholesaling the product. Again, that's an area I think that can spur some really good growth. Europe as well. We are in Amazon Europe, both so the UK, Germany, France, Italy, and Spain. And I think spending more time and a little bit more energy, both with perhaps Amazon sponsored product ads, would really drive some revenue there. So again, that's an opportunity. And then, of course, getting the website to a proper spot.
Cool. So wholesale, paid Amazon traffic, and then potentially getting into Europe. Is that covered?
Well, we're already in Europe, but yeah, definitely spending more time getting the Amazon up to
get traction. Really,
Yeah.
spend more time to get traction in Europe.
Cool.
Yeah. And the other thing we haven't even touched is, Amazon now, you can do Mexico, Canada, Japan. I haven't even touched those.
Yeah, I have a buddy does Amazon FBA in the health and fitness niche, actually, and he just went into Europe with his main product, and then he's been adding additional products. Do you see any additional products that could be added on or that could be sold that are, of parallel interest to people that you think could go along with this?
I mean, there are a couple that I'd actually be happy to share with a potential seller that we've sort of thought about that I think could go within the same branding. Yeah, I'd be happy to share those with the potential buyer.
Cool. Yeah, and obviously any depositor that wants to get on a phone call with you, you're going to share a lot more details, but we're keeping it relatively vague, so that we only keep really interested parties involved in this and to protect the future buyer, right? So knowing it a little bit, I know there are definitely some other products that can go along in this industry, in this niche, that I think they could sell. You guys didn't focus on it, I'm guessing, because it was a focus effort thing, like you were focused on your other business and other things and didn't get a chance to expand it yet?
Yeah, I would say that exactly that. And honestly, the revenues that were coming in for the minimal amount of work that we were doing were making us very happy.
Cool. And then to talk about some of the risks with the business, I mean, no business is without risk. Some of them are bigger or scarier than others. A lot of times, with like sites that have organic traffic, you're always at the whims of Google, right? So if Google hits your site and you lose rankings or whatever, it can be dangerous. And luckily, and what I think is interesting is these types of business, Amazon FBA businesses, don't have that problem. So they're, I think, a great way to diversify away from just Google organic traffic. And so I think that's really interesting, but it doesn't come without their problems too, right? So, I mean, the biggest one is that you're dependent on Amazon. Now, Amazon isn't a horrible partner. They're doing they're doing a ton of business, and there's lots of people making money with them, and they're making plenty of money themselves. But Amazon could shut you down, right? I mean, Amazon could destroy your ability to sell. They could shut down your seller account. There's lots of things Amazon could do. That's the big one that stands out. What other risks do you see?
I mean, as you were
Yeah.
talking, that was the one that came up to my mind. Maybe not as sort of extreme as the examples, but they do suddenly change their way of doing things, the way that you can put your listing together, the things that you can have in your listing. So that's kind of the one thing that, one of the reasons why Eric does check the account every day is not just to monitor customer service issues, but also to make sure our listing looks the way that it does, because sometimes they just change it and then
Yeah.
you got to kind of roll with the punches and
Yeah.
switch things around. But I think that's for any Amazon FBA seller.
Yeah, and listen, the health and fitness space is there's always fads and trends and those sorts of things. But I think our product is in a little spot there where I don't think it's subject to fads or trends and
No.
whatnot. You know?
I don't see that either. Is there any seasonality to it though?
I mean, it sells all year round. I mean, we sold a little bit more over Christmas because it's in the price point that makes a good gift.
Yeah.
If you run ads in January around everyone trying to get healthy, after the new year, there's some opportunity there. But other than that, I think it is.
Yeah, the only would be, like pretty much everything other than in the travel space. I say there's a little dip in the summer.
Okay. Yep. The only other I see risk with this business, and I think this goes for all Amazon FBA businesses, is that, Amazon has done a pretty good job of capturing the market. I mean, everyone knows who Amazon is. Lots of people buy from them, but, more and more people are starting to sell with Amazon. So has there been like big competition shifts? Have you noticed a lot of new competitors in the space? Are there a lot more people buying in the space? Like, what's that look like?
We've definitely had new competitors come and go, and that's, I see that by, going to the category ranking and see, what other products are listed. And, every once in a while I'll shout out, hey, Amber, they're check this one out.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that's just the nature of business. I mean, people see that something is selling well and they want to try to, replicate it, but they've come and gone. I think probably there are 3 particular products that I can visualize right now that have been there since we started.
So I have a good buddy of mine in this space in Amazon FBA and similar health and fitness, and he's been doing it for a few years. And I remember a year ago or something, he saw new competitors come in the space and they were undercutting him. He was like, "Oh, this sucks" or whatever. But a year on, he's like, what's really weird about that is they came in, undercut him, and then just disappeared.
Right.
So I guess my question is, have you guys seen that? And then the follow-up to that would be, do you think it's because you have a branded product, or why? What's your reasoning for that?
We have seen it, and we saw it leading up to Christmas. And like your buddy, that's frustrating. It's like, man, all year round, like we've been the kings of the castle, and this guy just smartly got their product in right before the big Christmas rush. And you know what? Since Christmas, they haven't been there. And so,
you think that they're just trying to capitalize on Christmas?
Yeah, I mean, I think from what we've seen, we have one other FBA business that's in a wholly unrelated market. But what I saw was that even some of the products that were in the top of the other category when we were doing our research are no longer selling. And so, some people I just think go in and they buy 1,000 units or 3,000 units or whatever it is, and they sell those and then they're out and then they're looking for the next big thing.
I think there's a lot of non-business people that are doing this, right? They read a course or they get into it, and that's why you're seeing like they run out of inventory like over and over, or they they get into it for a little bit and then they go off for some new shiny object, right? And they start chasing drop shipping or whatever. So you're seeing a lot of people like that kind of pop in and pop out. So that could be a reason for it, for sure. So
I would agree. Yep.
Let's talk a little bit about the work that you guys do for this business. Now, I know you guys are running multiple businesses, so this isn't like your full-time gig, but there is some amount of work that you do on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis. Can we talk about that a little bit? And like, how do you guys divide up those responsibilities?
I pretty much handle all the day-to-day stuff when it comes to, sort of the larger picture in terms of like understanding the inventory flow and the timing of inventory. That's definitely more Amber. But I mean, for me, I get up, first thing I make sure there are no customer service issues, because Amazon is pretty strict about making sure that you get back to them within 24 hours. And then it's very much just checking the sales of the day. I check our ranking just to make sure that there aren't any surprises or nasty reviews. And then honestly, that's it. We haven't had to purchase inventory since August of last year. We're pretty good in terms of what we need for the next several months. And so that's not necessarily an issue or anything I need to work on. And then Amber also does our Facebook ads. We run Facebook ads periodically, but those are also a, set it and forget it sort of thing. So it's really not that much work.
How many hours do you think you spend a week on the business, and how many hours does Amber spend a week?
I think Amber probably spends in 1 week maybe 1 hour.
Definitely.
Less than
Checking
that.
the ads. And then
Just my 30 minutes.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you check make sure there aren't any customer service issues, make sure Amazon isn't, hey, go fix this issue, and then making sure that you're getting sales, basically.
Yeah, and honestly, that's 20 minutes a day. Again, we're not at a point where we're having to do inventory, which, listen, the back and forth with our supplier just to try to get a good price, that takes a little bit more time. Otherwise, it's really not that much time at all.
Yeah, and we said, the cost of goods to get for each item and then to get shipped to the US is under $5 or so. So, when you do run out of inventory and you need to replace or whatever, it's not a ton of cash you're having to drop either. So
No, not at all. In fact, I think our supplier would love for us to buy some more inventory. It seems that the overall situation in China is affecting them because they're willing to make even better deals. I wish I had to buy inventory right now.
wow. All right. So that's not that much work.
No.
On a longer basis, so like every couple of months, you're going to keep track of your inventory and, but every couple of months, probably, like there's almost nothing to that with this business in particular.
Exactly.
Cool.
Yeah.
What skills do you think someone would have to have if they wanted to take over this business? Some level of analytical skills. They'd have to be somewhat internet savvy, understand how Amazon works. My mother understands how Amazon works, and she's not terribly internet savvy. So, what else? What other kind of skills?
I think you have to have some good customer service skills because, customers can definitely make or break you. If somebody has a problem, with the product, you have to realize that the customer pretty much is always right. And, dealing with customer service via email. So you do have to be a little mindful of tone. So that's an important thing. And I think my sales background has certainly allowed me to, be a good customer service representative. But
How do you guys deal with negative reviews on Amazon? What's kind of the process? How do you deal with that?
I think you acknowledge that somebody is not happy with you. You apologize. And depending on the type of, negative review, you try to, I don't want to use the word spin in a negative political connotation, but you try to spin it back to, well, our product does this. This is why it is. And, these are the benefits of our product. Sorry you didn't see those benefits that our product provides. Perhaps maybe in the future we'll be able to, convince you of said benefits.
Yep. Look at any of the, top high quality hotels or restaurants and their kind of responses to TripAdvisor. And I think that gives you a pretty good pretty good way to respond.
And you just don't take it personally. Very difficult for me in the beginning. It was hard for me to read a negative review and not get a little flustered.
And then I had to remind Eric that people even will buy an iPhone and write a negative review about it, and it's the top selling product in the world. So you have to kind of keep things in perspective.
Yeah, for sure. And then I imagine it might even be worse because it seems I found in business that the lower priced products tend to come with more problems, more hassle, whatever. Now, luckily, Amazon takes care of most of that for you. So if there's a problem, whatever, they ship it back to them. They deal with that. How many emails are you dealing with a day?
I haven't had any in about a week.
Okay, so not much
far,
at all.
Yeah.
I think most people are listening and they're like, yes, this sounds doesn't sound like a ton of work. I'm kind of interested in this business. Let's talk about some additional information that buyers are going to want to know. And the first one is, if I buy this business from you, I want to know that you're not going to turn around and start directly competing with me in the same niche or the same product. So would you guys be willing to sign a non-compete with this particular product in this industry?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. And then in terms of support, I know that this is kind of your first business, Amazon FBA business, so you might not have everything documented, or you might, but would you be willing to obviously step in and do some phone calls, do some emails with someone that may be new to Amazon FBA?
Yeah, absolutely. We learned from somebody else, and we're willing to, pass on what we've learned to any potential buyer.
Cool. And then another question. Obviously, if we got you a full cash upfront offer, that would be ideal. If someone came along and said, look, I'm interested in the business. I'm willing to pay Empire Flippers 100% of the cash, but I want to pay 70% upfront and 30% at the end of 30 days after the training period. Is that something you'd be open to?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. To do a wrap up of the business, guys, the niche again is health and fitness. Is an Amazon FBA business built in May of 2014. Had a pretty strong trajectory right away. Monthly revenues are just over $7,200 a month on a 3-month average. Expenses about $100 a month. Out of those expenses, any Facebook advertising, or is that just really minimal?
It is pretty minimal, but I think there's a different line item in the P&L for Facebook advertising versus the monthly costs. And
Gotcha.
so, that's really up to the person, however much they want to do. When we run ads, we generally do $5 to $10 a day.
Cool. Okay, and that's in the listing, and then anyone who pays a deposit obviously will get all that information. Net profit just under $7,200 a month. Again, this includes your Seller Central account in Amazon, inventory you currently have, domain name, and all site files. And of course, during the transfer, you're not going to run it down to the bare bones inventory. You're going to make sure they start off. They've got a bit of inventory. They're okay. And so does that mostly cover? Is there anything else you want to say about this business that people might be interested in?
No, I think it's in a good spot right now for somebody with, for any sort of type of, new investor, somebody who's got experience, somebody who's new to FBA. There's just, a few tweaks and turns that I think a potential buyer could make to really take it to the next level. And, it's kind of like our little baby, and we want to hopefully, sort of pass it off to the right hands. So there's some great opportunity there.
So one of the things I love about this business for a new FBA business buyer, is that it's pretty simple in terms of products. You don't have a ton of SKUs. It's one product. It's in a fairly well-known, stable niche or industry. The pricing is not outrageous. It's got the pretty typical margins of 30% cost of goods and shipping, 30% for Amazon, and the rest for you guys. It's really straightforward. It's like e-commerce light, as I said before. I also think for someone that's got other FBA businesses in the space, this might be a good purchase for them, in terms of they've already got a system they can plug it into. So I've already got inventory management. I've got VAs. I've got people that are running my other businesses, and I can just plug this one into them and add the cash flow. So I think it's interesting to them too. So anyway, guys, I want to thank you so much for coming on. If anyone's listening to this, let's say they're on YouTube or wherever else they may see this interview, and they want more information about this business for sale, they can click through in the show notes. It'll take you over to the listing page. Again, the listing number on this one is 40438, and you'll see this Amazon FBA business. If they're on empireflippers.com and you're on the listing page 40438, and you want all the details about this business, including detailed profit and loss, and you want to contact Eric and Amber and get all the information about the business and the niche, you can pay a refundable deposit. There's a link you can click on the top right-hand corner. Once you pay the deposit, you're going to get all that information. We're going to put you in contact with Amber and Eric so you can make your buying decision. Hey, guys, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Justin. Hopefully we'll catch up with you live and in person one of these days.
Sounds good, man.
All right.